You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. We have a great guest, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Casper Van Dien.
Casper
I
Van
met
Dien.
Casper and his daughter Grace at a con and just hit it off with both of them. Wonderful people. And I was always a big fan of Starship Troopers, and I love his attitude. Boy, what a great attitude. He loves just working and being in the industry, and he talks about all his flaws and in life, and I just really enjoyed him. I've been trying, like I said, I've been trying to get him on the pod for a while. Guys, just a few things before. If you love this interview, if you're here for Casper and you actually like this interview, you're like, wow, this guy doesn't suck. Hey, follow us. Our handles are at Inside of You Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, at Inside of You Pod on Twitter. And you can go to my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum, and the link tree has like Smallville cons we're going to, cameos, all sorts of stuff. My book that's coming out, my band, Sunspin, Rosey's Puppy Fresh Breath, all that stuff. But most importantly, if you like the podcast and you want to give back and keep this podcast going, go to patreon.com/inside. You become a patron. There's so many perks, man. Ryan, can you name any of the perks of becoming a patron?
Just having a good time with some cool folks.
Yeah, but also you get your name shouted out every episode for top tiers.
There's that.
You get a package every 3 months from me with a little letter from me.
Also that.
There's occasional Zooms. There's YouTube links where I play guitar and just people ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great community where you can talk to each other. A lot of people become friends. Patreon is really wonderful. And if you join, you're helping this podcast and you're going to enjoy it. I really think you're going to enjoy it. So check that out. You can go to my Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum and my link tree and join Patreon. Without further ado, let's just jump into it.
Let's do it.
Let's get inside Casper Van Dien.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. Where are you? Are you in Florida?
I am. I'm in my office in Florida.
Yeah, and how are you liking Florida? You've lived there for a while, haven't you?
I moved here 4 years ago to help take care of my father and my mother. My kids have all grown up, and my wife and I were down here 4 years ago for Christmas, and my dad fell down, and said my mom went to help him, and they were in the other room, and we were getting up to help me. He goes, I got it. But my wife turned to me and said, we need to move here now. I about lost and almost cried, but she's amazing. So we moved here just to help take care of them.
Are you serious? You know, most people don't. I don't think a lot of people do that. They just, their life sort of revolves around their family. That takes a lot to think, okay, they'll get help. I'll visit them. I'll talk to them every day. But to actually come down and be there.
My sister's even more amazing. We moved my parents next door to her. So they live 10 minutes from me, but like 10 feet from my sister. But I'm within 10 minutes of them. So I can drive there really easy. So it's not bad. I get to see them often, and we get to do things. I was just there yesterday. And
how old are they?
My dad is 92.
Wow.
My mom is 83.
Is it his memories kind of going?
Right now, yes, he has a little bit of sundowners. So he gets a little bit as the sun's going down, he starts getting a little more anxious. And he's a military vet. He was 20 years in the service as a pilot, and he had, he saw these guys drown in a plane, and they couldn't rescue him. And wow. I think the plane was on fire. I can't remember if it was. And then he saved some other people. I mean, he's amazing. He's a Navy pilot, and I was born. And when he was the flight instructor and for the Navy, I was born in Milton. He was in Pensacola. So I was born in Florida, but then moved to Japan because he was handing the Navy base back to the Japanese. Then we moved to Jersey, that's where I grew up. And then I moved back down here to Florida. And went to military school down here in Florida.
And you have a lot of military in the family, right?
Everybody except for me and an uncle. I was in a Navy military school, Admiral Farragut Academy. It was an all-guy military school when I went. I was operations officer. I went to the military boot camp between my junior year and senior year. I also was on the USS Forrestal for a month and a half, aircraft carrier, with F-18s landing behind me, for training. And then I decided to become an actor.
Why did you not like it? Did you you're like, God, this is what I...
I love the military. I love the aspect. I loved everything about it. I still do. When I play the military roles and everything, I'm very precise about what I experienced in that, which was, they were great. The men in my family that served, men and women that serve in the military to this day, are incredible, and their sacrifices, affords us the ability to do whatever the hell we want to do. And if I want to act like I'm one of them, I'll act as much as I can, but I'll do it in the most honoring and respectful way. I'm
Yeah.
very precise with all that. I feel the privilege and the honor that they've given me, and I'm grateful for that.
I'm sure you didn't always. I'm sure at a young age you were kind of like, were you the kind of kid that was, you needed a little discipline, or you're always doing stuff, or were you a good kid? What would your dad say?
They would say I was a good kid.
They would.
I chose to go to military school. I chose to leave home and go. But I was also drinking back then, so I was not good. I had my own issues. I'm sober. I'll just get out and say that here. I'm 29 years, 7 months sober.
What?
Yeah,
That's incredible. That's a long time.
Yeah, I was a blackout drunk. Or I'm still, I'm an alcoholic, but I just don't drink anymore.
Man, I'm happy for you. You seem
I was
like,
just doing an AA meeting just before here, and I had to sign
yeah, you
out.
said that. You're like, hey, dude, I'm just getting out of an AA meeting. I go, oh, is this recent? Do I need to address this or not address it?
No, it's not. It's not recent. I got divorced through two divorces through. I was still sober through both of them. I was sober during Starship Troopers. I was sober during that movie. So,
Are you?
Yeah.
By the way, Starship Troopers is Rolling Stone's top what, Ryan?
11.
11. You know this already.
I do, and right now it's trending. It was like number 25 again because Helldivers 2, this video game that's going out. They've done all these Starship Troopers quotes and like references, and all the gamers are right now. I'm getting inundated with so many things. It's unbelievable. Just the life that movie has sometimes.
What are the odds, though, of being on a movie that gets a sort of a reaction like that? I mean, most actors would dream of being on something that has legs like that just keeps going.
You mean like be Lex Luthor or something?
I
cool
mean,
like that?
yeah, but Starship Troopers is like, everybody knows Starship. I remember seeing that in 97, I think it was, in New York, and I walked out and I said, that's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I haven't had more fun at the theater than that movie. I was just blown away by it.
So now you're one of the majority now, but back in the day, you were one of the minority in America because in the States, it went over a lot of people's heads. They didn't understand the satire, the sense of humor, the sense of sensibility. And I don't even understand that because we have Paul Verhoeven, director of RoboCop, Ed Neumeyer, writer of RoboCop, Phil Tippett, the visual effects guy of RoboCop, and John Davison, the producer of RoboCop. They all made Starship Troopers, and they were like, oh, they thought that had satire. Let's just go full force, but let's be subtle with it. I don't think it was as subtle, but then when it came out, when they said we were so subtle, and I was like, no, you guys weren't. This was not subtle at all. And then when it came out and went over people's heads, I went, what? So they missed the point of it. They didn't understand it. I don't know what the difference was when it first came out, but it seems it's had a lot of life. It's had a long.
So
life.
It didn't make a lot of money when it first came out.
No, it didn't do as well as they thought. This is the deal. They did a big they did like New York Times or Washington Post or something like that, did a thing in there. They got 1,013 and 14-year-old boys to go buy a ticket to Mr. Bean and see if they could sneak in to Mr. Bean and the multiplexes. And all 1,000 of them were able to do it. So the next week, Disney pushed the re-release of The Little Mermaid 2 weeks earlier and put it in the same theaters as the multiplexes as Starship Troopers. And then the Post got 1,013 and 14-year-old boys again to buy tickets to The Little Mermaid, the re-release, and made 22 million in its re-release, and which it still would anyhow. But
Right.
Mr. Bean also made 22 million or whatever in its release, and we made 25, I think, in our opening weekend. But they said we would have doubled our income if we had been a PG-13 movie. So we were rated R.
It would
so
not
kids-
have been the same.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think I think it holds up because of it's only a minute and 22 seconds that would have been cut out. There's a couple of the heads getting lopped off and some of the nudity and some of the carnage.
Yes.
That's what really got it. Well, I think one of the bugs taking somebody from behind or something like that. There's a couple of things that happened in it. Colonel Lindsay, he got it. It's had a longevity and a love. Mostly it's directors that come to me and want to talk to me about it all day long. That's what they want to talk. When Robert Rodriguez hired me on Alita Battle Angel to do one day, I played a muck. I come in and I kill this girl in a wheelchair. Spoiler. He all he wanted to do that whole time. I have a scene with Christoph Waltz. All right, I'm in a scene with Christoph Waltz. I know. I'm like sitting there like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And he's like, is there anything else you need from me? And I'm like, I have like one line. He's like doing all the talking and he's asking me what he needs. And I'm like, I'm in heaven. But all Robert wanted to do was talk about Starship Troopers. It was surreal. It was surreal.
That is amazing. Did he have the accent when he was talking to you? Like, what do you need anything else from me? Or
he was just wonderful. I mean, I was in awe of being there, but then I was just talking to Robert all the time about Starship Troopers. So my time was monopolized with him also, because I was also like wanting to talk to him about his movies, but he had questions and he was just like really in it. And and then he direct me in the movie and get me to do this. I want you to do this. And he's like, yeah, you're like what would have happened to Johnny Rico. And this is the way he thought. I mean, it was so cool. I love him. He's amazing.
Wow, that is awesome. Are like a lot of these guys you work with, are they guys you still talk to? You still shoot an email? You still shoot a text? I mean, do you become friends with any of them? Or are you sort of a guy that works, does the job, mostly just moves on, and you don't really become friends with a lot of people you work with?
No, I'm from Starship Troopers. Patrick Muldoon, who was the guy that got his brain sucked out.
Oh, I know.
Which is every guy's wet dream. He and I were friends before Starship Troopers. We've done like 4 or 5 movies together. He came to my wedding. I was married 5 years ago to my now wife, my beautiful wife, and he was in my wedding party. And then Ed Neumeyer, who was the writer of Starship Troopers, was in my wedding party. And then Garrett Warren, who was the stunt coordinator on Alita Battle Angel and Starship Troopers and Logan, and he's done all these other things and Avatar and all those things. He was in there too in my wedding party. So those are 3 guys from Starship Troopers there. And then I work out. I was working when I was living in LA. I was still working out with Jake Busey, and
he's a character, isn't he? Is he a lot of fun?
He is a character. He's a lot of fun. So and Dina Meyer I see all the time at cons, and I'm going to see Michael Ironside and Dina up in Monster Palooza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I'm seeing them next month.
Wow.
So I'm going to do that. So that'll be fun. I still get to see it, and I love Michael Ironside. I mean, I hear his voice all the time when I'm acting, still to this day. So
what's funny is I had a bad experience with Michael Ironside, and I talk about it on the podcast. But like it went viral, and it wasn't like I didn't say I didn't like the guy. I thought he didn't like me. I thought he was a little mean or a little bit like, and maybe he was just playing that character. I don't know. So it blew up into this thing like I hate him. I don't hate him. I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's a good actor. And it was just like it didn't really blow up, did it, Ryan? I mean, a little bit, but
it's going to blow up now. It's going to blow up now.
No, but it's not that
Casper Van Dien defends Michael Ironside against Michael.
It was just a first impression. That's all it was. So I have no real evidence of
a lot of people have said to me, they go, he's terrifying. And he does play a good, terrifying person. And he does have a personality that, if he was angry, I wouldn't want to be on that dark side of him. I have no idea what your experience was with him. But when I worked with him, he was a mentor for me. And he gave me, he was always there. He's very positive, very supportive. So I had an incredible experience working with him. I had an absolutely incredible experience.
And I love that. I'm telling you, this experience wasn't even like working with. It was just like he was on set. And it was just interaction. And it just made me feel kind of uncomfortable. And nothing he did. It just was a moment where he's like, oh, this guy, you're this guy, huh? And he kind of sized me up, and I was like, Jesus, man. And it kind of made me feel like shit, but I don't think he was, now that I think of it, I think he was just like being a dude. But it just was weird. It just was weird. And I was like, so it was a little thing. But Tom, who was on the show, loved him. Everybody else loved him. I'm sure he's a great guy. It was just a one-time moment.
Like I said, he was just a mentor for me. So he was great for me. But I do understand that because he can he is
He's intimidating.
yeah, he's extremely intimidating.
That's it.
I mean,
He's a little intimidating.
he's very intimidating, and he can also, if you if you felt something, I don't doubt that there was something.
I'm sure. But
And it could be, whatever somebody goes through on the day. Because I've had experiences with people too where they're like, God, I love that person. And I've been like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I guarantee if somebody said to Michael about this, he'd go, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't even know this guy. I didn't work with him. I don't even remember where. That's probably what he'd say. What is he talking about? He probably wouldn't even remember. He wouldn't remember. But it's funny how you remember. Like if you have a moment with somebody and it's just brief, like maybe I met a fan, I was just like, hey, I don't have time right now. He's like, oh man, he was kind of a dick, and I wasn't meaning to be. It could be taken, different ways, and like your legacy could be,
Yeah, people, I have 2 ex-wives, so I know I'm not popular in some people's viewpoints. So I know, I know I am not a popular man there at all. I know that, that's not something that's, and rightfully so. I deserve it. I don't mind. I know I have a great current wife, and she loves me. Thank God. But I haven't blown that one yet.
No,
so there you go.
You're doing great. You're doing great. You got 4 kids, right?
Yeah, I do. I have Gracie's an actress.
I know Grace. I met her at cons before. In fact, she texted me and she said, "You will have a blast with my dad. He is great."
Isn't she sweet?
She said it was unsolicited. You guys are really tight, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing because the others are more private, and she's very private too. Grace is very private, but she's an actress, so she's fair game because she's in this field. So that's and she understands that. But we all saw each other at that con together. We all were at a Comic-Con together. And
and I met her before that at some other con, and she was really funny. She's a goofball. She's really funny and like doesn't take herself seriously. And
she's been on sets her whole life. She grew up on sets. Johnny Depp held her in his hands when she was a baby on Sleepy Hollow in England. And when I was Tarzan in Africa, she came to the set there, and she was being carried around by this lady that was taking care of the house that I was staying in, and one of the Zulu ladies. And she just had she'd carry Gracie around, this little blonde-haired baby, but right in through Zulu Natal, and it was amazing to see.
Hollywood royalty, that baby.
She is Hollywood royalty.
She is.
Robert Mitchum as her great grandfather.
Isn't that? I mean, who could? That's pretty amazing. And you worked with him.
I did. He played George Stevens to my James Dean. And he did that as a favor. He told them when the director came, I said, who'd you get to play this? Because we had some really cool characters in that movie. We had Mike Connors, Bannox, playing Jack Warner, and then we had Casey Kasem playing his yes man, and then we had Joseph Campanella playing my father in that, and Diane Ladd, and we had and then we had Robert Mitchum. I said, who'd you get to play George Stevens? They go, we got this actor, and he walked out of the trailer, and I'm like, he's like, hey, and you're ready to shoot this? And I'm like, I go to the director, why didn't you tell me? He goes, he told me not to tell you.
How nervous were you?
I was so nervous, and I wish they had told me, because I was like, I would have prepared more, but we nailed. Robert he did scenes in one take, and you know what? We did them all in one take. I was lucky though. I was just lucky. I mean, he was just like, I was just in awe. But he came and did that as a favor because they didn't have the money for him. It was a shitty little movie, I mean, money wise, it's not like I'm not badmouth the movie. I'm saying, money wise, it's not a big budget movie. It's a tiny movie. So
how old was he? How old was he at this time?
He was 74.
Did he still have that tough guy kind of air about him?
At the end, he had emphysema, and that kind of made him, go down a little bit. But he was always just a good guy.
That's awesome.
I loved him very much.
Inside of You is brought to you by Neurohacker, Qualia Mind. Let me tell you about this stuff. I was using this stuff for memory and focus and even a little energy. And they were not a sponsor, and I was already using this. I have sent this to my mom. I have sent this to my brother. They love it. I love this product. I just feel like I feel it so quickly. And that's important because a lot of times I go, oh, well, take this for 6 months and you should start to feel it. You're like, oh, really? 6 months? And I'm not. I really noticed a difference in quality of mind and Neurohacker right off the bat. I'm just more focused on tasks. My memory is better. Motivation and discipline, it helps me in all of that. Productivity, mental clarity. Ryan, I don't know why you're not taking this. See what one of the best brain fuel formulas on earth can do to help your mindset. Go to neurohacker.com/IOU for up to $100 off Qualia Mind. And as a listener of Inside of You, use code IOU at checkout for an additional 15% off any purchase. That's neurohacker.com/IOU and use code IOU for an additional 15% off to experience life-changing mental performance from Qualia Mind. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The products and statements are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Guys, listen, we've talked about mental health and improving your health. And, I think the stigma is going away with therapy. And it has helped me immensely. It's helped Ryan and so many of my friends and people around the world. Just talking to someone objectively and about what's going on in your life. Every time I get on, I think, what am I going to talk about? And within 20 minutes, I'm like, so glad that I did it.
I don't know.
And Ryan, this year has flown by. I mean, what are we? We're halfway through this year. And I think it's really important for all of us to celebrate your wins. Sometimes we're just so worried about the problems at hand that we don't celebrate those things that, hey, we're doing okay. We're making it here. And you make adjustments for the rest of the year. And therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. Therapy is so helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. Therapy truly is for everyone. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists anytime, no additional charge. I think that's the big hang up. And people are like, what if I don't like my therapist? What if I don't get along? What if I'm not vibing? You switch. There's no questions asked. That's what's so awesome. It's all online. Take a moment. Visit betterhelp.com/inside today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside. Well, how did your parents react when you wanted to get into acting? Being that you come from this military family and all this stuff, like was your father taken aback by it?
My father's the one that actually, I went to, I'd gone to military school, and then I was working at a gym and working as a lifeguard and doing boat maintenance and doing all this other stuff to pay for my school. And my parents had put a little money away for me to do, my dad tried to save on, he was a teacher in the military. So he did what he could. He was amazing. I'm so grateful for everything they did. But I was going to college, and I'd gone a year, and I was going to I was a year away from taking military, try to get military scholarships, put myself through, and then try to become a doctor is what I thought I was going to do. And be in the military and have them pay for everything, and then owe my life to them and whatever. But my dad sat me down and he said, "What?" And just sat me down one day, and I'm packed, getting ready to go back to college. And he goes, "What do you want to be?" And I said, "Well, I'd be a doctor and be in the military." He goes, "No, what do you really want to be?" I go, "Well, I'd love to be an actor." And he goes, "What are you going to college for?" I said, "Well, to be the doctor and, and go to the military." He goes, "Why?" And I unpacked my car for college that day, packed it for California, and drove out that day with my mom. My mom drove out with me.
Wait a minute. You completely U-turned your whole destiny, or what you thought it was, and just didn't go. just didn't go to school, unpacked your shit or whatever, and went to LA.
Well, I'd already gone to college for a year. I'd already
Right.
completed first year in my senior year in high school. I was all set to go, and I had my own room there and everything. And I didn't go. I didn't go back. And everybody's like, "Where are you?" In fact, I just went to Admiral Farragut Academy, which is the military school I went to. I just spoke at there in St. Petersburg, and in front of all these amazing people. Okay, there's all these men that have accomplished it. I was the guest speaker, and I don't even know how I was the guest speaker, because all of a sudden I'm looking at all these military guys that have created these fortunes and these big companies and making millions and millions of dollars and doing all this good for people and all these charities and everything like that. And I'm the guest speaker, and they're speaking before me. But I get up and I start talking, and I sit there and I go, I'm just honored to be here. Then I started talking about my sobriety, and then I started talking about everything that got me through this and how I was grateful to be able to get a taste of what these men were like and what my father was like, just by one experience I had as an actor. And I've had many as an actor, but when and I'm going to give it to you real quick. This is one that I was doing a film in New Mexico. And sorry for about the little tangent, but this is what I mentioned in here. This is how I ended my little speech. I was doing a film in New Mexico, and the transport captain came up to me and said, "Hey, my son's a huge fan. He's my co-captain. Can he get a picture with you?" And I go, "Oh yeah, absolutely." He goes, "Yeah, he loves Starship Troopers." And I go, "Yeah, he was blown up in Iraq by one of those roadside bombs, and he lost both his legs and part of his arm." And I'm like, "Oh," and he goes, and the last thing he remembered as he was passing out after being blown up was this bare arm coming in with a death from above tattoo, pulling him out. And I go, "Oh my God." And at this point I'm crying, the makeup artist's crying. And he goes, "Yeah, he wants to take a picture with you and send it to his friend, the guy that became his best friend, the one that saved his life, who had the death from above tattoo. They bonded over your movie, and he wants to send a picture to tell him good luck, because he's going back. His buddy's going back for another tour." So she helped make Death from Above tattoos. We took this picture and we sent it over there to his buddy. And it was just like unbelievable. But 2 years later, I'm at Warner Brothers for the show All American that I'm doing. Just a little spot on that. I just have a little ad reoccurring on that as Cody Christensen's father. And I'm handing in my ID, and the guard goes, "Rico." I go, "Okay." Obviously my name is Casper, not Rico, but I didn't, but he goes, "Yeah," because "We just heard what you did for that Marine, and we all wanted to say thank you." So I said to them, I said, "I just wanted to say thank you guys, because you guys all serving in the military, doing what you've done, has afforded me the ability, and my father and the men of my family and the women in this country that done this, afforded me the ability to be an actor, have a role that affected people like that. That is true greatness. These people are true greatness, what they're doing. They're willing to do these sacrifices, and I can pretend and act like it. But if I can have a little bit of taste of what they feel like to be that person, then I'm very grateful." And that's how I ended. And I mean it. And that just was just off the cuff there. But here it is. We're lucky we get to be in this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's funny because whenever you don't know what to say, if you just speak truth or from your heart, it always just works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're bullshitting, they know you're bullshitting. But if you're like, "All right, hang on, I want to say something," and that's probably why. But that's an amazing story. It's amazing because I always talk about how I used to find it silly. I was like, "Oh, I did this show, and how could this affect people, and how could it have any impact on people?" And then it's like, my dad and I, when my dad was alive, that's what someone will say to me. "We watched your show every Tuesday night. That was our thing. That was our father-son thing." Or the fellas in Iraq, they'll say, "Hey, we watched Smallville. That's what got us through it." And I'll just be dumbfounded. I can't understand. So, but it makes me feel at least like I did something that sort of helped you get through something. And it's just really cool. It's hard to fathom, right? It's hard to wrap your head around.
It's humbling. It's
Yeah.
extremely humbling. And I'm grateful for that. It is a rare thing. We're very lucky when we get into something, because actors, most of my friends, they struggle more as actors. Although the actors, I know there's some that are the super successful ones. There's some that have been we've had tastes of it here and there. We've done done some good things. Like, you have Smallville, I have Starship Troopers. We have these things that are iconic,
Yeah.
and that's great. But a lot of actors, like you say, don't have that. They haven't experienced that. But we're in a fortunate place to have that, and I am very grateful for it. And I know I'm also very lucky.
We're all
So
lucky.
yeah, we're all lucky. We're all lucky. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Did your dad, I can't believe how I always picture the great Santini, as like, if that's a military dad and a Navy pilot and he's like hard on you, but he wasn't. He was like, he was the one who helped you figure out what you wanted to do and go do it.
My dad has always encouraged me to be my own man. That means I'm responsible for every stupid mistake I've made, which is quite a few. And also I can, stand up to, to be the man that I want to be. Now, he's an incredible man. He used to sing and dance after dinner. He still sings to this day. He got me, he would show up to all my games. He used to take me to all the Yankee games growing up. I had all the bats he got me on the field of, because he had the cadet corps for when he was teaching NJOTC in Jersey. He had the cadet corps. So I got on Giants Stadium and I got to go out there with them and just be a little kid. I used to run around after all the guys at all the boot camps in Newport, Rhode Island that he would do for all the Navy going in. I'd be running around in these uniforms. I every once in a while I'll get somebody going, "Hey, remember when you used to run around us? You were a funny kid." From these old military guys. I still get some of that stuff still.
Now I know why you're there helping your dad.
Yeah.
Just by hearing what you said, it just makes perfect sense. In the beginning, I was like, most people wouldn't do this. And, if my, get help for their mom and call them. And there's a reason why you went there. It wasn't because you wanted, it's like you had to. It's like something in me. I'm going to do this. This is what I have to do.
I think I always wanted to. I didn't think I had the courage until my wife said it.
Wow.
She's the one that, she's like, "No, we need to move here now." My wife said this. And, for me, I hit the jackpot this time. And she's really just somebody that's just, she has a superpower, right? She has a real superpower, and it's called kindness. And I think that's what her and my daughter Grace have. And I'm learning a lot from both of them. And it's really inspiring me. I want to be a better man. And part of getting sober is always trying to get better, part of doing these things. And it hasn't always worked. I've been a cranky old man and done a lot of mean things and things that I really deeply regret. And I've hurt people that I really care about and love. And you make amends when you can. And when it's just going to cause more pain, you stay away. And, you just have to take that medicine of what you've done in your life. But looking at them and seeing how kind they are inspired me. My dad is a much kinder man than I am.
Was he a yeller or not really?
Terrified of him if he was going to be mad, but I was probably more terrified of my mom.
Oh, yeah?
And my mom's awesome. My mom is awesome, but she's funny. She can be a little bit meaner, though.
She could lose her shit and throw stuff at you from across the room?
She'd be more of a screamer than my dad. Yeah, she would be. But but they're both incredible. I'm very lucky. Most people meet my parents, they go, "God, I've heard about people having parents like this." That's what I have.
Did they call you Casper or they call you Robert?
They call me Casper, but they called me Rob growing up. But they call me Casper now.
But they called you Rob growing up? Rob, come here.
Yeah, Rob.
Or Robbie?
No, just Rob, ROBB.
Right.
My dad's Casper, my grandfather's Casper, his dad was Casper, his dad was Casper, and his mom was Ann Casperus. That's who we're all named after.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, she was apparently a really amazing woman.
And there's a street in New Jersey, Van Dien Street,
that I lived on that was named after my great grandfather. Yeah.
It's still there?
Still there. I grew up on 243 South Van Dien Avenue. I lived there for 13 years.
Hey, let me ask you a question really quick. You don't have to answer it, but I mean, your dad being a Navy pilot and all this stuff, I'm really intrigued by this stuff. So did he ever say he saw anything extraterrestrial or UFO or anything? Did he ever experience anything where he's like,
My dad says he hasn't. but he's flown over. He flew over the Gibraltar Straits with a nuke. He said he wasn't allowed to talk about it, but he started talking about it now. He flew over with one. He's a real deal. He used to hunt the Russian subs. He used to hunt the Russian subs, and they played those games. In those games, he goes, "Yeah, I always found them. It's easy." That's how he talks. I mean, my dad, he landed on aircraft carriers. I mean, he was a pilot from 50 to 75. So,
but he never saw anything in the sky that he thought was a little odd.
I did a movie with Tom DeLonge, and Tom DeLonge was sending me all those. And he would send me these before they released them. He was sending them and going, "Don't show anybody this."
Monsters of California.
Yeah, Monsters of California. I loved it. And all that dialogue was stuff that was said in different meetings and in paperwork. All these things have been said. All the things that were in that movie were.
I'm fascinated by it. I mean, I'm not into conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but I've just seen enough the interviews with top-ranking officials and Navy officers and pilots and astronauts and scientists, and seen documentaries and that it just the way I interpret it is like, are we crazy? Is this not possible? Are we not on the same page that this is possible at least?
Listen, ancient astronauts theorists say yes. That's what I say. They say yes. I believe in it 100%. I believe that that there's interdimensions. I believe that there's definitely aliens. Stephen Hawking said that if there were, during Starship Troopers, he said if there are aliens, we probably don't want to fight them because they probably will bite.
By the way, was Paul Verhoeven, was he an intense guy? Was he funny? Was he eccentric? What was he like?
Yes to all of that. Paul Verhoeven is one of the most energetic and wild and crazy and amazing and gifted human beings that we will have. He's a genius. He has a genius level IQ. He's wild. He's always drawing. He's first person on set, last person off set. He has more energy. I swear to God, I thought he was on cocaine, but nobody could be on cocaine as long as he was. All the whole thing, because he was just so intense all the time. He's like, "Come and shoot the bugs." If you didn't get yelled at, you were not working on a Paul Verhoeven shoot, because he just yells, screams, talks, just intense. And I love him to death. And he's one of my favorite people ever. And I will forever be blessed to have been able to work with him. He is, I think, one of the greatest directors and the most underrated directors.
Wow. Do you still talk to him, or is he?
I do.
You do. He's still alive. He's still around.
Yeah. He's still. He and Ed are working on a project that I might or may not be involved with eventually too. So we'll see.
And he has a thick German accent?
No, he's Dutch.
Oh, he's Dutch. You're Dutch, aren't you?
I am. I'm a Dutch American.
So he has a Dutch accent.
Yeah.
So that's how he talks.
With a Dutch accent. Yes, I talk like this. This is what I do.
Does he, when he's, I can't imagine getting screened by like, "Michael, what are you doing?"
Oh, it's intense. It's intense. But he's, he is one of the most incredible human beings, and just so talented. And I swear, every director I've ever met with or talked to, I have a picture of me with like 6 or 7 directors on my Instagram. It's like it has Quentin Tarantino, Roger Avery, it has Eli Roth, James Wan. There's somebody else I know that there's Edgar Wright Jr. They're all in there, and they're all in this picture with me, and all they wanted to talk to about this, where I'm there for 3 hours with these guys, and have Ed Neumeyer with me. All they wanted to talk about was Starship Troopers.
Of course, isn't that something?
It just, to me, it's just a weird thing. They go off on it, and it's incredible, that film. And of course, those guys always want to talk about movies anyhow, because they're all movie geniuses and everything like that. But they all love Paul. They all love him.
That's awesome. Did you have a time in your life, whether it was immaturity or whether it was just whatever, ego, that you're like, in the interview, I don't tell them we're not talking about Starship Troopers, or we're not doing this, or is like getting like, or were you always kind of open and like whatever? Because some people will be like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm so tired of talking about that. I don't want to talk about it. And it's refreshing that you don't give a shit.
No, I've never ever once not wanted to talk about Starship Troopers.
Wow.
I absolutely loved it. I loved the book when I was a kid. I read the book when I was a kid. And when I read the script for the movie, I went, how, as a 12-year-old kid, did I understand this sense of humor? When I read the script, I was like, this is so dark and incredible and intense. How would I, man, I was a lot smarter because I thought I was pretty dumb as a kid. And I thought I was pretty clueless. But I went back and I reread the book after I read the script as an adult. And there's none of that sense of humor in it. All that sense of humor is Ed Neumeyer and Paul Verhoeven, the RoboCop people.
Yeah.
That is not in the book. The book is a straightforward, it's a great book. But it's an incredible book. I love it. Robert Heinlein wrote an incredible book, 1958 or 59, I think it was. But it's straightforward. If you service guarantees citizenship, and if you don't serve, you don't get to be a citizen.
Yeah.
But it's straightforward. It's straightforward. It's like it's a pro-military movie. It's great though. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I went back and the reason why I loved it as a kid was the power armor, which is what they're doing in Helldivers 2 right now, which is, so it just was because you could jump and nuke things and blow things up and do all these cool things.
Yeah.
So I was a typical boy.
Inside of You is brought to you by Shopify. You hear me talk about Shopify all the time. And let me tell you something, you've got to use this. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. When I first started these podcasts, I didn't have like a website or I didn't have any place where I could sell products. But with Shopify, me, Michael Rosenbaum, I can do it because it's so easy to navigate on Shopify. I could see what products are selling the best, the least, how my inventory. I could see analytics. It's all right there in front of you, easy to use. If you want to add a product, it's so simple. I don't know how everyone isn't using Shopify.
From the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage, Shopify is there to help you grow.
Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout up to 36% better compared to other leading commerce platforms, and sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star.
Plus, Shopify's extensive help resources are there to support your success every step of the way.
Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/inside, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/inside now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/inside. You ever kiss someone in the morning and you wish you hadn't? It's a real turnoff. Bad breath, that is. And that goes for everyone. Yes, I created a product called Rosey's Puppy Fresh Breath. Just one full cap in your dog's water. And wow, it's odorless, tasteless. You'll be kissing your dogs all day.
My breath is delicious.
Yeah, mine too. It's awesome.
Rosey's Puppy Fresh Breath. Get it on Amazon today. Do you love what you do? Do you love acting still like you did when you were that kid, turning it around, not going back to military school or whatever? And just is it the same feeling, or is it just a job? Do you ever just work and go, it's a job? Or do you always try to find an element of fun?
I always try to find the element of fun. As it can be hard. There's sometimes where some of these movies you get on that people, you can go, oh, these people, I don't know, they don't know what they're doing. But even there, it's still fun because it's exploring. And now, even though I've been in this longer, and I actually have more fun now than I even did when I first started. I get so excited. I think I'm more alive on set. I think I become a better person, a better human because I'm working. I just love making movies. I love the energy of it. It's just, it's phenomenal. And people getting together. And there's different personalities. Sometimes I might not always click with everybody, but I still love the whole process.
Yeah,
I do. And we're a sick. I know that we're very sick individuals. There's something wrong with us in our head for likeness, because you can invite anybody to a set. People go, oh my God, movie sets or TV show set. And they want to come on set. 97% of the people that come will be like, oh my, this is incredible. And they come on within an hour. They're like, oh,
bored.
Okay. And then 2 hours, they're like, okay. And by 3, they're like, okay, this is great. I gotta get out of here though. I got the thing that they were gonna be there all day.
You're doing this scene again?
Yeah.
Haven't they got it?
but there's 3% of the people that'll come that'll be like, this is the greatest thing. And I'll be like, oh, one of us. That's what I think. That's what I think of the people that they're like, oh, I could be here all day. I'm like, you're a sick person. I like it.
Do you feel like you work too much? Do you feel like you have to be working? Well,
I'm not working right now. So yes, I feel like I prefer it when I'm working than when I'm not. But I have, we had the strike, which kept me off for a long time. I just got to do a thing with Flannery last year, Sean Patrick Flannery, who I love. He's very intense.
Yeah.
But he's, I had one of the best times working with him. Just because of his, he's so intense.
I just had Edward Furlong on, and you worked with Edward in Heart of a Champion.
Yeah. Edward is such a great guy.
He's such a nice guy.
He's the great guy. We hit it off. We had one of the best times too. I love him to death. What a cool cat.
Yeah, he's just so honest. I've never met somebody just so, hey, this is what I did, and I made a mistake, and this is what I did. Yeah, I did that, and I'm just trying to be better, and and I love it. I love acting. And he's like, I like that raw, sort of honest approach to everything. I think he's been through hell and back. Yeah,
and it really helped when we were doing our scenes because he and I we were relating on a lot of the stories, and because he's that open, it was so much fun to work with him. Yeah. We had a scene that the people went and they were like, "Oh my God, that was incredible!" But he and I were just having fun together.
Wow. And, who are you? Who's the most starstruck you've ever been on a set with an actor?
Most starstruck I've ever been on a set with an actor.
Just like, holy shit! Like besides, I guess Robert Mitchum.
I got to meet Ernest Borgnine and work with him.
Oh, come on.
And Rod Steiger.
I worked with Rod Steiger. He's amazing.
He was amazing. But Ernest Borgnine was incredible. He would carry his set around, he would carry his chair. It was a Western. I was shooting out in the valley, 118 degrees. And my daughter was 11, so she's 27 now. So that was 16 years ago. Is that right math? Is that right math? Something like that. I don't know if that's right math. Don't ask me. I'm not a mathologist. But so anyhow, she was 11 and she came onto set, and Ernest is carrying Mr. Borgnine is carrying his chair around. And he's like, I'm like, Mr. Borgnine, sir, let me get that chair. He goes, I got it. He wouldn't go to his trailer. He was like, I'm going to sit on set. And then I go to him, hey, Ernie, this is, I said, Mr. Borgnine, sir. He goes, call me Ernie. I'm like, yes, sir, Ernie, Mr. Borgnine, sir. This is my daughter, Grace. She's Robert Mitchum's great granddaughter. And he goes, you're Bob's kid. Hey, Jack, he went to the horse guy, get me a horse. He goes, I'm not going to get a saddle. I'll just put her on leader. And I'm like, okay. It's like, I watched him pick up my 11-year-old daughter, put her on the horse. They called me to set. It's the first time that I didn't want to go to set, but still had to go because I was filming. But I watched him go off and go, let me tell you about your grandpa.
What?
And I watched him walk off with my daughter on that horse, 11 years old. And she came to me at the end of the day, and I was like, how did it go? She goes, Dad, thank you for the best day of my life. This is Grace. You met Grace.
Yes.
And so 3 years after that, we saw Ernie at a con, and he goes, Gracie! And he had her come up to him. He remembered her like it's nothing. He was a Grand Mason, and he was a mate. And both my grandfathers were. My dad didn't do that, but
Ernest, I mean, I just always remember him in Poseidon Adventure.
Oh.
One of my favorite movies of all time. And what a stud he was. He's always that big guy, the Wild Bunch. Yeah. I mean,
but he was. We wrapped him at the end of the day. They wouldn't wrap him. I was like, you guys got to wrap him. He's been working here 12 hours. It's hot. He was a month away from his 90th birthday. He got up on a horse. He's like, get me a ladder. I go, you're going to get up on the horse? He goes, how do you think the Duke did it at the end of his career? I go, yeah, but he was in his 70s. You're going to be 90. But he got up on a horse. His double took a fall off the horse 4 times. He was 86 years old. His stunt double, or 84 years old. And he's like, yeah, he goes, he's the good job, kid. And he goes, oh, he's the only guy I call a kid. They were so cute. But at the end of the day, I go, you got to get him out. So finally they got him out after 12 hours. And they said, Mr. Borgnine, sir, you can go home. He goes, what about the kids' coverage? And I go, Mr. Borgnine, sir, you can go home, sir. It's okay. He goes, I'm not leaving. Take me off the clock, but I'm not leaving. He sat off camera delivered lines like you wouldn't believe, with the tears in his eyes off camera.
Come
for me.
on.
Swear to God. And we have people that complain about it. And I had this man, this 90-year-old actor, Academy Award winning for Marty, Poseidon Adventure,
Yeah.
he was Mermaid Man in in SpongeBob SquarePants. He's everything. He stayed off camera for me
That
and
is
gave
just
me a
extraordinary.
performance of a lifetime. Not even on camera. He wasn't even on camera. I mean, I was like, what?
That is unbelievable. What a beautiful story. My God. All right, this is called Shit Talking with Casper Van Dien. It's my top tier patrons. I love you guys. Thanks for supporting the podcast, patreon.com/inside of you. Well, some of these questions, we already talked about that. Nathan P said, how do you like working with Michael Ironside? He loved working with Michael Ironside.
I loved it.
Right?
I did it twice.
Twice you worked with him.
Yeah, I recommended him for another movie we did called the Mega Code, which was yeah. So he came in and played that. He was the baddie in that.
Leanne, when your daughter Grace told you she wanted to be an actress, were you supportive of her decision? You're like, oh shit.
I cast her in her first movie, directed her as Sleeping Beauty in my Sleeping Beauty movie that I first directed. Got her agents and managers. She was the best thing in the film. Rest of the film, meh. But she was good.
How do you like directing, by the way? You like directing.
I love directing, but I want to direct something that is more of a passion piece, because I did a couple Lifetime movies which were for Lifetime, and that's great, but that's not my genre film that I would sit down and watch. That's not necessarily something like that. I did a good job for them. I got them both Lifetime movies. They weren't Lifetime movies until I made them.
Right.
And then they liked it and they bought it. So, but the two separate producers wanted to get them on Lifetime, and so we were able to do that. But and then the other movie I did, I had another one I was about to direct, and it got pushed. So we'll see if we're going to do it in the spring. I'll believe it when it happens. But it's a baseball movie, kind of like American Graffitis, but set in the 80s.
Really? How old are the lead characters?
They're high school baseball players.
High school baseball players. That sounds sweet, dude.
It's about the Connie Mack World Series. The best, the ones that go on. Like from there, these guys. I filmed Second Unit last year at one of them, and these kids were so exciting. But they're all like 6 foot, 6'4". Some of them had beards. I'm like looking at them, like, oh, how old are you? Looking up at every single one of them, like they're all men. Like like wait a minute, I know you. You're an All-American. I'm like, okay,
you're damn right I am. This is kind of funny. Well, Tasha asked us, what's your favorite or happiest memory from your acting career? It sounds like the Ernest Borgnine thing.
That would probably be one of them. One of my most favorite moments. Yeah, that would definitely be that. Also, watching Johnny Depp hold my daughter was pretty amazing, and just telling her how beautiful she was.
Oh man.
You have moments like this. There's so many times I have these incredible moments. We're very lucky because you get to be around really talented and kind people. There's quite a bit of them, but I have so many amazing stories. And I go, oh, this was my favorite time. This was my favorite time. Looking over and seeing Paul Verhoeven and Ed Neumeyer, Phil Tipp, and John Davis, and the guys behind RoboCop, being out there in Starship Troopers in the middle of Hell's Half Acre with 1,400 extras, 30 actors, all firing weapons, 30 stunt guys, all firing weapons, 250 something crew, 102nd unit crew, the drop ships, all the special effects going off, looking at that, everybody running, me looking over and looking behind there and going, I got to remember this for the rest of my life. This moment's amazing. That would,
wow.
And also to go, I'm Murphy, because I was number one on my call sheet for that movie, and I know Peter Weller was number one on his for RoboCop. So I felt like I'm Murphy, and because I'm looking at that, I just love movies. The fact that we get to do this, it's surreal to me. The fact that they still pay me however many years later, 36 years later. Yeah, 36 years later. Holy shit. Wow. Time flies, man. I feel like it was just the other day. Mr. Spelling hired me for a show. I was grateful for him doing it too. He's not with us anymore. But these great people that we had in our lives and in our careers, getting to work with Michael York, walking up Masada with him in Israel, while I'm filming the Mega Code, walking up Masada with Michael York, the Michael York, going there for his, his when he got his star on Hollywood, and I was there with him. These things you get to be around. It's surreal moments.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. Little Lisa wants to know what song best describes you. That's a hard question.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Oh, really? Is it? No, I was thinking about what do you think your song? If I had a song, I never thought about that. A song.
What song defines me? Wow.
Taking it to the street. Taking it. No, I don't know. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I don't know.
Blue Moon was my parents' song. So if there's going to be a song that's going to define me, it would probably be the song that got those two to fall in love and get married.
Blue Moon. That's probably what they had. You think they had sex to that song and had you?
Probably. So that song probably definitely defines me. That was their song. So that was their wedding song. That was their song. That was their thing. So that song defines me.
I bet mine was like they were listening to the Eagles or Zeppelin or something. Probably.
Anything cool like that. There's so many songs that define us.
Yeah, I don't want to think about my parents having sex. So let's stop there.
My dad said to me, he was a pilot. So my dad was one time saying, yeah, the doctors told me that, it was because of the going up and going down so much in the planes that we had 1,000,000 to 1 shot of having any kids. So had to do it with your mom 3 million times to get you 3 kids.
Great. Jesus. So, Jeremy C., last question. What is your biggest motivation to get you out of bed in the morning?
My biggest motivation? I wake up like, bing. I'm like one of those people that just wakes up in the morning and it is on. So I know I'm like one of those people.
You feel good when you wake up? You feel good?
Yeah.
I feel like
great.
Shit for the first hour.
I get up and I'm up. Like if I wake up at 4:00 in the morning, I'm up. And I'm like, I'd go do anything. I'll do my Duolingo now, or my read something, or do my meditation, do some working out, run, walk the dogs.
Good for you.
I think my motivation is probably, just to be a better person, try to find out where I can be a kinder, better person.
There's nothing better than that.
Well, I'm tired of being the other person, so I'd rather be the best version of me rather than the asshole version of me.
Well, you say you're tired of that. I don't think, that it seems like you've been a pretty good guy for a while here. As long as, are you think you're such an asshole that recently?
No, I think we all make mistakes, and I think I've made mistakes, and I do stupid things. I try to let go of them and try to do better. I try to do that. But yeah, I constantly, I'm a dude, so I've made plenty of stupid mistakes in my life and said stupid things. But I try to look at the kindness. I keep watching. Like I literally, when I say that I watch Grace how she is at the cons, and she takes these times with all these little girls that come up to her, and they're so affected by her, and they hug her and they tell her stories and they pour their hearts on. Some of them, they dump a little bit too much on her, but she does it with such grace and such. Her name, it's amazing. Amazing Grace is the song that would define me the best.
See, you found it. That's beautiful.
That's why she was named that.
Wow. Well, this has been awesome. I'm so glad we got to finally talk. And
me too.
And I got to learn about you, and I got to really see what makes you tick. And I see how the passion you have for your family. I see what passion you have for Gracie. I see what passion you have for acting and directing and all these different things, and the love you have for your folks. And it's just a beautiful thing. So it's I appreciate you taking the time with me.
Dude, man, hey, we've known each other for forever. We were working out at the Sutton
Place Hotel.
You and I were there all the time in the gym together. I'd go there on one movie, I'd come back and be on another movie, and there you were. You were working out at the gym. I was like, this man is consistent.
My body didn't show that, but you always got the muscles, man. It took me a long. I'm kind of a lanky, skinny guy. It's hard to get muscle on me.
Dude, it's not about being big or anything like that. You had consistency. And I always saw that. I was like, oh my God, I bet you that guy's going to be there. I was like,
guy.
And I was like, but you guys never brought me on Smallville. I would have come and done an episode. I would have.
I think you were being considered, and I don't know why it didn't work out for we. You would have been great, But
I would come play with you guys any day of the
I
week.
would
But
have loved that.
I loved working out with you, man. That was a lot of fun.
Hey, I loved working out with you, dude.
Yeah, it was cool.
Hey, thank you, man. Let's keep in touch, and I'll let you know when
Thank
this
you, man.
airs. And all my love to you and your family. And
You too, brother.
all the best. All the best.
Yeah, we'll be seeing each other around soon.
I can't
All right,
wait,
take care.
man. Lovely fella, Casper. Thanks for being on the show. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And hearing those stories, and I was surprised. I like I said, I've always been a fan, and I'm more of a fan now. That's for sure. If you love this podcast, join Patreon. And, we were talking last week, Ryan, about, we haven't really checked up on mental health, really, on how are you doing? Are you still taking therapy?
Me, I am, yes.
And it's helping.
I'm still doing, yeah.
I am too.
Yeah.
A
Good.
lot of people are now. My brother's getting into therapy, and it's just so helpful. I mean, we talk about Betterhelp and like how many people use Betterhelp and how amazing it is, but talking to someone is just, I think, vital. I think we hold things inside and we think we're okay, and they bottle up, and they come to a place where you start to see things happen or materialize. Like you just like your stress levels and how you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And by just talking to someone for an hour, it's amazing how much you get out of your system, and you feel like it's almost like you're refreshed, like you've just had a facial or something. I don't know what it is, but it's
a facial for your mind.
It's a facial for your mind, because I'm telling you, I never want to talk to someone. I'm always like, I want to cancel. And I never do. I won't allow myself to cancel. And 20 minutes in, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm talking about things that I didn't think I'd talk about. So it's really awesome. And I'm glad you're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still buzzing from a couple weeks ago when we did our sold out shows.
Yeah, me too.
That was incredible. It was really incredible. It was just the audience was like, it felt like I was doing stand-up comedy for an hour and 45 minutes, and everybody was just having a blast. We showed clips from Smallville. We showed blooper reels. We talked about our time on Smallville. We talked about your time on Talkville.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell you definitely have that comedian-esque improv way, because when you get on stage, you're just funny.
I haven't been on stage in so long,
but it felt good.
I've missed it.
Right?
Yeah,
it does. It's like electric. It's just like it's a fun feeling. It's not always fun when you don't kill it, but
I used to be in like the habit of doing it all the time before 2020.
Yeah, we'll do it now.
I know.
You had that feeling. Get back on stage.
I had that feeling 2 years ago too, and
I know.
It's hard to
Life
find.
gets in the way.
I want to find the momentum.
We get in the way.
We do get in the way.
We get in the way. I always get in the way of myself.
Yeah.
And the way, it's usually fear-based or, not putting the work in. But when you do it, it pays off. So I just say, everybody out there, just try to live your life. Try to do what you want to do. Just get up and do it. Go for it. I mean, you have nothing to lose. When you're dead or when you're dying, you're like, why didn't I do that? No one cares. What would have happened to me if I did it and I failed? Nothing. You'd be embarrassed for a little while, and then you'd be like, oh, I got through it.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/inside of you. Love you guys. Thank you for supporting this podcast. And here we go. Nancy D, Leah and Kristen, Little Lisa and Yukiko and Jill E and Brian H, Nico P, Robert B, Jason W, Sophie M, Raj C, Jennifer L N, Stacy L, Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike E, Eldon Supremo, 99 more, Santiago M, Leanne P. What's up, Leanne? Maddie S, Belinda N, and of course my friend Dave Hall, Dave H.
Brad D, Ray H, Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D, Rhiannon C, Corey K, Dev Nixon, Michelle A, Jeremy C, Mr. M, Eugene and Leah, The Salty Ham, Mel S, Chris, Eric H, Oracle, Amanda R, William K, Kevin E, Jor L,
Jammin J, Leanne J, Luna R, Mike F, Brian L, Jules M, Jessica B, Kyle F, Kaylee A, Charlene A, Brian A, Mary Louise L, Romeo the Band, Frank B, Jen T, April R M, Randy S, Rachel D, Jen, Carolina Girl, my Carolina girl, Nick W., Stephanie and Evan. Stefan, I call them. Stephanie, or Stephanie and Evan would be Stephanie. Charlene A., Don Giovanni. Jenny B., 76, John. Hello, John and Jennifer R. Tina E., Angie, Tracy, Tasha S., Keith B., Heather and Greg. Heather and freaking Greg. Ellie K., Elizabeth L., Ben B. Jammin, Pierre C., Nerd Octave, Sultan, the Sultans of Swing. We thank you. We love you. And from the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California, I'm Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm Ryan Days.
Little wave to the camera. And Ryan?
Yeah. Be good to yourself.
You heard him. Be good to yourself. All right? This week, be good to yourself. See you next week.